And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn one.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, what, 7 laps of start for
Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season as they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10, Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my
God, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail, and hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to round 3 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship's 7th season, and welcome to the Split A race. Don't forget, this championship has 2 different splits. Split A for the Premier and the Elite class, Elite and Pro class, and then the Premier and Evo class are over in Split B, which is broadcast by the wonderful Joe Glass, and Dara Thacker is with him in the commentary box. Over here you've got myself, Chaz Draycott, and the wonderful Ed May alongside me as ever, and we're here tonight for the 3rd round of the season at Road America. Just to clarify before we continue on, there has been a little bit of clarification and a change of the wording in terms of what a round is, what a meeting is, and what a race is, just to make sure each race meeting in the series is a round. So we have races 1 and 2 here at round 3 tonight. I hope that makes sense. I tried to justify it the other way, but we've got to listen to the boss man, and we've got to crack on as is. Ed, what a great circuit this is. You and I have commentated here a number of times before on different championships all over, and to be honest, it's one of the best tracks we ever come to, isn't it, this place?
Yeah, it is. We've also held a special event here before because it is a special track that gives some excellent racing. It's never a dull moment here at Road America, and also here in, of course, the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It has been a very interesting start to the season. We've seen already some changeable conditions affect proceedings last time out, with some just real big dramas late on. Hopefully over these next 2 races we have just as much action, but in twice the dosage with those 2 races.
Yeah, fingers crossed we have just as much action. This is how the championship looks at present in the elite standings, and it's Kevin Poon at the top with 164 points ahead of Fraser Smith and Luke Van Gortel in 3rd place. No disrespect to Luke, but his consistency has definitely flown under the radar, and he's caught me off guard with that one. Luke Lucchese is in 4th place ahead of Tristan Dinabrega. Danny Lee is in 6th position, but 40-odd points off the top 5. Then it's Yanis Albert and Chris Versteinen. Thomas Pugh is in 9th position ahead of Ryan Ottens in the Corvette. Matteo Carbonari in that gorgeous Mercedes is in 11th. And then Ale Torres is in 12th. He had a bit of a nightmare last time out, didn't he, Ed, at Zolder. He'll be hoping to improve on that. But we have the pro standings with Ed May.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, Chaz. And yes, in the Pro Championship, it is the moment Robin Noel Brown in the lead for Sima GP2 Porsche ahead of Edward Adcock. Sure? Is it not that right one? It should be loading up. That's the one that I was given. Oh no, I'm not on the right spreadsheet, am I? I'm on the different one. I think I'm from last one.
Pro is Bobby Trundley.
Bobby Trundley. Here we go for our Quartermass Motorsport ahead of Alex Fretwell, who was actually quite strong, wasn't he, at Zolder last time out with that pole position. Just dropped back a little bit in the rain, but no rain on the forecast here, so hopefully he can bounce back with a strong result. Jack Wyborn not far behind him, just 15 points the difference between 2nd and 3rd with that race victory last time out. Stephen Donnelly in 4th after a poor result, drops all the way back down the order outside of the podium, hoping to have better fortunes. And then Matt Hoyland, very consistent, isn't he? Just in and around the top 3 in all 3 races so far this season. Seeing if that consistency will read a good result come the end of the season. Next up there in 6th for Glasstec Racing, ahead of Lawrence van der Water, Victor van Zeist, Lawrence de Rapper, and then Chris Jennings rounding out your top 10.
Absolutely brilliant stuff in the pro standings, very, very close together. This is how the team standings look at the moment, and it's the Quartermass team of Bobby Trundley, Andy Chell, Robert Savage and Ryan Blackie that are currently top of the pile, and by a long shot as well. But hats off to Suma GP2 Porsche, Scott Kostrick and Robin Null Brown. Just a 2-driver team are ahead of an absolute multitude of 4-driver teams, so their consistency has been right on point as well. Axis Simsports not too far back, only 2 points ahead of Kame GP2 Porsches. And then we have the RDSA Simsport guys from South Africa, although we have Yanis Albert in there as well with them, let's not forget. He and his NSX teammate Tristan Dinabrega teamed up with Luke Lucchese on a perfect 250 points. But if you look at the Axis team all the way down to DXT, there's actually only 5 points between those 5 teams. It's absolutely remarkable how close it is at the moment. We also have Viraco and then the RLH team next up, Alex Fretwell, James Pallett, Wesley Van Renz and Thiago Reiser. And the top 10 teams are rounded out by James Robinson, Maxim Dimitrov and Carl Whitehouse in the CRM Racing Squadron. So, we fade back to the present moment here at Road America, and there are cars on track, for qualifying. And we look now at Andrew Fairley in the Ford Mustang. They get 4 laps here in this 15-minute session. And to be honest, this is a circuit that's really difficult to string a lap together on, isn't it? It's a long old lap.
Yeah, a long lap, plenty of corners where it's easy to push the limits of the circuit, run wide, and if you do get a sort of 1x, that completely invalidates your lap, which means all of the hard work is for nothing, and you can get quite easily frustrated. So imagine the first few laps here for the drivers are just going to be banker laps more than anything else. Obviously the tyres won't be fully up to temperature after the end of this lap. There might be one more to go before we get the tyres in that perfect window. Usually the drivers' 3rd or 4th laps when we see the quickest times come through. Listen to the sound of that Mustang roar its way down in towards, well, what's classed as I think turn 4, but it's basically turn 3, isn't it, Chaz?
Yeah.
It's downhill left, hard onto the brakes as gravity works its way to speed you up as you try and slow down. Avoid that little dent on the inside of the curb. It was very nice to avoid it. You want to cut it, but not too much, because there's a sort of horrible little divot, isn't there, Chaz, on the inside of that left-hander after that long back straight.
Yeah.
Then this right-hander, you can take it pretty much flat, maybe just a little bit of a lift when you're in race trim. Again, trying to widen out the corner as much as possible. This one you can cut as well, but there seems to be another little divot to worry about. And then, well, the carousel, it's a nightmare to get right. You've got to pick your moment to try and bleed off the throttle, not running too wide. Then you sort of use a mark on the right-hand side. Usually that concrete wall is when most drivers get on the loud pedal, full throttle. Then through here, keep it pinned. Finally balancing, not trying to scrub the speed. Steering inputs nice and steady as you make your way now in towards the right-hander that sets up that final sector. Carry a lot more speed than you expect through here, using sort of the compression of the car as it makes its way up the hill through this left-hander as well. Carry the momentum all the way through, and now the final corner. It's very difficult to find a sort of reference point on there. There's no real sort of furniture around the circuit that you can use. It's just instinct of running a little bit wide. That might invalidate Andrew Fairley's time, but he was really pushing through there, wasn't he, Chaz?
Yeah, he was absolutely on it on that lap, was Andrew Fairley. He was one of the quickest guys at Donington at the very start of the season as well. Be interested to see whether that lap counted. It did, yeah. 2:03.598 for him in the elite class. Really, really solid lap, and he's ahead of Dean Powell by just 42 thousandths of a second. Then Daniels, Fraser Smith goes quickest by nearly half a second. Incredible stuff. Where is our championship leader, Kevin Poon? Let's have a look for him. He's not actually out on the circuit at the moment by the look of it, or is he? No, he's not. He's not out on track right now, is Kevin. We look here at Robert Bakker in the Mercedes, the Dutch driver in this lovely tricolor colour scheme with that satin metallic colour. Matt Hoyland has just put his time on the board by the look of it. I'm not sure if it counted, actually, to Matt Hoyland, but it's Fraser Smith still quickest. Danny Lee third in the Mustang. We now have a logo for the Acura, which is lovely to have. So we can look at the... Well, we're just going to call it the NSX because it is a Honda, isn't it, really? But Paul Cowlishaw now has a logo next to his car, which he'll be very happy about. A good few NSXs in the field, but one thing I must, again, commend this championship on is the big variation in the cars that we have. I think this is one of the first times we've seen Malcolm Coates this season in the Rage Against the Game esports. Very striking. Reminds me of like a college football team livery from America. He crosses the line now and goes 8th in class, in the pro class, but it's currently Alex Fretwell in the McLaren, the sole McLaren. No, actually I'm lying. Mike Fowler is in the McLaren, a quad-dash McLaren.
Kevin Pern as well. He's not out on circuit, but Kevin Pern is also in the McLaren here tonight as well.
Maybe that's why he's not out on track. Has he joined in the wrong car?
That could have been it, actually.
Oh, that would be devastating.
Maybe a mistake, but we've seen the best do it, haven't we, Chaz? It's not the first time we've seen drivers make that mistake. Memory serves right. Well, was it Tristan Dinabrega who made that mistake last time out? At the sort of, was it Imola?
I think it was him or Troy Dolinchek. I think it was Troy Dolinchek.
Yes, it was.
He signed up in the BMW, I think, by accident. And as per the rules, if you do that, then you're not allowed out on track to go and affect other people's races because you're in a car that you wouldn't normally drive. This is one of my favourite looking cars in the field, though. I know we looked at the ADX Racing Esports Mustang earlier on, but Matteo Carbonari's Mercedes is absolutely delightful. Really lovely looking car. So too is this, Marcel Breitenbach's barbecue bread racing Corvette. We were looking at this before the stream, and I still had his old spec map on the car, so there's some random metallic bits. So I made sure I frantically found his iRacing ID and deleted the spec map before we got in the session, because this thing deserves to look at its very best, because what a great looking car. They've always had good looking cars, haven't they, the Breitenbachs?
Yeah, they have, but it is a very nice job here for Marcel. You can see now he needs to do just as good a job in qualifying as his car looks, making his way down the hill. This is so difficult, Jazz, isn't it? Because you're fighting gravity that tries to speed you up as you're trying to slow it down, while also then trying to turn the car through where it's sort of not really, the weight isn't loaded in the right spots, is it, to really get that turn in?
No, absolutely not. It's certainly a difficult circuit like that. You know, there's not a massive amount of undulation around this place, but it really does catch you out. It definitely can. As Raz Harper rounds the left-hander at the top of the hill in the Lamborghini Huracan, possibly the best sounding car out there. The DDK by Eagle Speed Academy Esports Lambo. Certainly, I mean, let's just ride on board for a sec. Listen to it around the carousel here as we go through the next right-hander. Clearly running a very, well, nose-heavy setup, because he was really not putting much lock in at all to get that car through the left, but listen now. Just takes a bite or two of the cherry there to get it going round the carousel, doesn't he? Through the right-hand kink, terrifying part of the circuit, and now leads away. Listen. It's almost like it breaks the sound barrier before it comes towards you, because you lose the sound for a second, then it flashes on by into Canada corner. Not easy at all, but like Ed said earlier on, you carry a lot of speed through that right-hander compared to how it looks on a track map. Really is a high-speed section. And then this final corner here, no reference points really, and you're also braking while turning there as well. You're trying to balance the car on the brakes, get it turned in. Seems like they can run very wide actually before they get an off-track for that section of the circuit.
Yeah, it feels as well like this circuit has very little camber through some of the corners that doesn't help you out at all, especially the, I think, second to last corner. It feels almost off camber at points as you're sort of riding over the crest. The car gets very light as well. We've seen drivers make mistakes as Andrew Fairley in the Mustang goes third fastest, and only by a few thousandths is he shy of the front row. Does he have enough time, enough leeway for another lap? I think he does. He's on his fourth of 4 laps now is Andrew Fairley, so he's got some space to try and improve into. Luke Lucchese still has this lap and one more to go for as well, actually, so Luke could be one to watch out for. Yanisala really opening up the left-hander, which you can do actually without getting a penalty. It does sort of...
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but the sort of track limits
it?
don't really tick you off, do they, through that little section? So you can really open it up, But it doesn't obviously help too much if you're having to move right to suddenly move left. You do lose a little bit of time in doing that, and then you're not really onto a long straight, so the effect you gain from it isn't exactly massive.
Just looking...
Ranko Kapkovic just coming to a standstill. Sorry, Chaz.
I was just going to say, I was looking for some of the Chapter X cars, but they don't actually seem to be out on circuit at present. Henning Hauger is in the pit lane, it seems. But we look here at Ryan Otton's in the Alpha. Excuse me, one esports Corvette. Highest Corvette in the field, and, well, coming to a stop as well. Kevin Daniels in the Porsche, rounding the final corner, making a great old racket as he heads up the hill. It's Jack Wyborn fastest at the moment in the Porsche in the Pro class. He'll be really pleased with that. He had a great run out at Zolder, if I remember rightly. 31 thousandths of a second ahead of Matt Hoyland.
Does he improve? Kevin Daniels doesn't seem to improve. Fraser Smith is about to come across the line for his final lap in qualifying. Doesn't improve by, well, about 200ths of a second, so he's consistently quick. That lap still would have been good enough for pole position. Really on fine form here tonight. Luke Lucchese didn't improve on that last lap, has got one final attempt, but he's safe from behind as Andrew Fairley did not improve. His teammate Tristan Dinabrega on a lap as well, though, in 4th place. So is Luke King. He's got this lap and one more. Actually, he's just started his next lap. Improves his time, not his position. Luke King, 9 thousandths off of the second row of the grid. So Luke as well with some good pace in these dying moments of qualifying. 3.5 minutes to go.
Who do you bet we're looking at here?
Yeah, I wonder, Chaz.
John Breitenbach has found another place to hide here. He's somehow gone through the grass mound next to the bridge and found a way to... He's there. The camera is pointed directly at him. He's in there. He's hidden in the grass somewhere.
Isn't it, for John Breitenbach, the troll under the bridge?
Yeah, very true. Very true indeed.
On the stream. Lovely to see though, isn't it? Every week we try and find where he's gone to. Ashley Brooks for MRC 495 in that beautiful Acura. It does look wonderful.
It's awesome looking car. I know I said my favourite car in the field is the Mercedes, but I mean that livery's unreal. Francois Brandet was running it. The eagle-eyed of you will see that he is no longer running it, and he's actually running. He said to me it's a French team that he's a part of called Unity, and he's running their livery now. I love that Venom logo on the side of it as well. Really fitting looking car. It suits the yellow headlights as well. But he is not in the same team as Ashley Brooks. He's in MRC 495. Francois racing for DXT Solar, but wearing the colours of his usual team. Bobby Trundley, class leader in the championship in Pro, is all the way down in 19th position in class. So this is a great opportunity for a lot of others to score points over him here as we look at Eric Villet in the Mustang. But yeah, Trundley down there in 19th position. That's a big surprise.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising. Late improvement in the Pro class. It's Jason Hodgson who goes into pole position right at the death with no time for anyone to really make any replies back. The only driver out on the circuit, I think, is Martin Kenyon, who's currently...
It's Francois.
Oh, is that Francois? Sorry.
Francois is the last. Sorry, he and Ash Brooks are the last two on a fast lap at the moment. Martin and John are just faffing about. Martin seems to have stolen John's idea and is trying to hide in plain sight. Francois goes 8th quickest, just ahead of Martin. You could almost say that teaches him for messing about, but I don't think that's quite the case. We've got Ashley Brooks then in the NSX, turns in nice and early there, really clips that grass. Let's just listen. Oh, it's changed to the other camera. Boo! Boring. He goes up towards Canada corner. Hard on the brakes. It's almost like Dazzle camo, isn't it, really, for the forest, that thing, in that gorgeous green. Makes his way now back up to...
me, it seems...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Chaz. This NSX, it does seem to handle in a similar way to the Lamborghini, where you don't want to put a lot of steering lock on. It always seems to want to turn in, which is why a lot of the drivers try and do the turning in a little bit earlier, but a bit softer as well, not really soaring at the wheel too much, working the heat into the tyres, instead of sort of just trying to guide the car in because they know it wants to turn at a moment's notice.
Brooks crosses line, improves, but is 5 thousandths off Marcel Breitenbach. So where on earth is Martin there? Is that on the exit of turn 2?
Looks like it.
I can hear Connery Maddock in the background over the PA at the circuit. But yeah, I think Martin is on the exit of turn 2 there. Because I think if the camera panned to the right, it'd look up towards the hill. John Breitenbach was hiding in that grass mound there underneath the bridge. Still, the qualifying session is finished, and in the pro class, it's Jason Hodgson taking pole. He's got a good few of the elite class drivers between him and his nearest competitor, Jack Wyborn, as well. Other than that, it's Fraser Smith taking pole position once again this season. He'll be over the moon with that, especially with Kevin Poohan not here for this race. We've got a full formation lap, so we've got about 3 weeks to get through this grid. Luke Lucchese will join Fraser on the front row of the grid. Then we have the Ford and the Acura, Andrew Fairley and Tristan Dinabrega side by side on row 2. Luke King and Luke Van Gortel make it an all Luke and an all Porsche, row 3. Daniel Lee and Yanis Albert make up the 4th row of the grid, ahead of Matteo Carbonari and Gianni Terhar. Good to see Gianni back on our screens again. Dean Powell is in 11th with Ryan Ottens alongside him on row 6. And then the aforementioned Jason Hodgson, quickest in the pro class, with Thomas Pugh alongside him. John Breitenbach is definitely going to want to come out of hiding for this one. He's 15th with Will Soper next to him. Chris Versteinen is 17th with Kevin Daniels' Porsche on row 9. Jack Wyborn is second placed in the pro class with Henning Hauger's Ferrari alongside him. Actually, is Henning in the Ferrari? No, he's in the Acura. I do apologise. I thought he was in... Oh, no, it's Christensen that's in the Ferrari, isn't it? I don't think he's here tonight, the Danish driver.
He's on the grid at the moment with him and Simon Wareham actually in the Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, Glenn Andre Christensen is Norwegian, not Danish. I'm so sorry. Wow. Kostek Solovic is in 21st, ahead of Paul Cowlishaw. Tom Weston, 23rd, and Matt Hoyland, fresh from the Fishfinger Grand Prix, in 24th. Victor van Zeist, 25th, alongside Gilles Philipparts. Then it's Raz Harper's Lamborghini alongside Kaz Brinkhausen. Waiting to see a little bit more this season from Kaz. He's been fantastic in other series, but not quite at the sharp end in this one. Mike Fowler's beautiful McLaren lines up in 29th, ahead of Chris Jennings, who completes the top 30. We then have Alex Fretwell alongside Robert Bakker. Tristan Engelstad and Francois Brandet, 2 absolute stalwarts of this championship from when we've been broadcasting it anyway, followed by 2 more, Martin Kenyon and Marcel Breitenbach. Then we have another one, Ashley Brooks, ahead of Eric Verlet. Branko Kapovic is 39th, then the aforementioned Glenn Andre Christensen in the top 40. Laurence de Dapper is 41st, ahead of David Wester. Then we have Malcolm Coates and Alexander Dulby. Then it's Bobby Trundley, 19th in class. Still can't believe that. Actually 20th in class after a late improvement ahead of him. Lawrence van der Water is in 46th. Simon Wareham, 47th. Ale Torres is showing as 48th. And then 49th is showing Kevin Poohan, but I do not believe he will be taking to the grid after signing up in the wrong car.
2 drivers actually not taking to the grid there. It's Kevin Poohan and also Branko Kapovic for LS Racing. He's seemingly decided to opt for a pit lane start for whatever reason. He did take part in qualifying, so it wasn't like there was a qualifying ban on pit lane start. So we'll have to see, of course, if he is able to make the opening phase of the race. But what a front row this is looking up to be, Chaz, isn't it? Fraser Smith and Luke Lucchese, 2 Porsches ahead of the Ford Mustang, and then Tristan Dinabrega as well in the Honda NSX. Got a while to wait, obviously, for the full pace lap around Road America. It's not exactly a short circuit to go around, is it, Chaz? We've got a little bit of time to think about what might happen. The drivers also, they have plenty of time, isn't it, to really rest and ruminate on qualifying.
To be fair, though, as a driver, I don't enjoy a longer pace lap because it's just even longer to start worrying about everything. Because it builds up the pressure, builds up the suspense for the race, and everybody gets ideas in their head about how they're going to start the race, what their sort of approach is going to be in the long run. Let's not forget, this isn't a 1-hour race tonight. We've got 2 half-hour races with a slight break in between. So there might be a bit different mindset here tonight than what we saw at Zolder. They've got a chance to reset and go again after the first encounter. So tensions will be high in that second race, that's for sure. But they'll all be starting this first race of the night hoping to get as much out of it as they can, especially this man, Jason Hodgson. More importantly than his overall position is obviously his class position, but he'll be looking at that 15th overall with great intent, because let's not forget, for the second race of the night, the top 18 on the grid, regardless of class, get reversed. Jack Wyborn is currently second in class but 19th overall. He only needs to gain 1 overall position and then stay there at the end of that half hour, and he'll be on pole. But it's not that easy, is it, Ed?
No, it's definitely not, but looking at it as well, it's about survival in these first few laps, especially here at Road America.
Through
We've
the
seen
kink.
so many times through this kink here, and also actually it's sort of the weird space between turn 1 and turn 2, isn't it, Chaz, where we always see a strange coming together. I don't know what it is about that area of the circuit that tends to breed accidents, but it does seem to cause a lot of a kerfuffle, and I think it's the way as well the circuit sort of, the barriers even funnel them in tighter.
Yeah, they do.
They do sort of cause a pinball effect where it just sort of funnels everyone into a very tight space, and that's where I guess the contacts can arise. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a good clean start of Fraser Smith and Luke Lucchese leading the way. Just about to get underway now, Chaz.
Pardon me indeed. Fraser Smith is going to lead from the inside line, and they'll be telling him in chat, steady on, careful now. I'm surprised that his fan club haven't turned up in chat yet to slate everybody who dare go against him. Let's see then how this one goes, shall we? The beginning of round 3 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship Season 7 Split A is now underway, and what a great start that was for Fraser Smith. Gets away from everyone behind him, and it's side by side between Luke Lucchese and Andrew Fairley. The Mustang down the inside certainly will have the legs on that pesky Porsche. Luke Lucchese will want to slot in just ahead of his teammate Tristan Dinabrega for this first corner. They're very close together, side by side, all the way around. Looks like they behaved themselves for now. Everybody over the crest of the hill. The funnel that Ed just mentioned not coming into effect just yet. Seems like it's all nice and tidy. It's difficult though on the exit of turn 2. It's side by side for the lead as Andrew Fairley goes for it. He's got ahead of Fraser Smith.
What's happened to Fraser Smith there? The cold tyres caught him out potentially, because Fraser Smith was way back, wasn't he, in towards turn 1 and also turn 2. But Fraser Smith, he won't believe his luck. He's leading the race after just 2 corners. Wonderful stuff there for the Mustang, as we see a Mustang of Daniel Lee trying to find a way past the Honda NSX of Yanis Albert in the RDSA colours, and just trying to get caught up in these little battles. Thought we were going to see a little contact coming between the pair of them. Just about a car's width afforded on the exit there by Yanis. Danny Lee's going to take all the room he needs to try and get through, but wheel spin just on the exit, and that's going to lose him not just 1 place but 2, as through on the inside we can see that beautiful Mercedes of Matteo Carbonari.
Look at the Mustang around the outside
though, is he? Really hard on the power, but now too wide through this kink. Doesn't go.
Fair play.
Danny chooses discretion being the better part of valour. They're not going to back out of that one. Is his teammate Team Power going to go for it? No, you can audibly hear the lifting of the throttle and the lowering of the revs, as I think Danny realises that Danny might be slightly quicker, just got a little bit unlucky in that opening phase of the race. But speaking of good fortunes, leading the race, Andrew Fairley taking advantage of what appears to have been a Fraser Smith mistake, a rare mistake as well.
You could say he's had a fairly good start, couldn't you, Andrew? He's absolutely flown from the beginning. Let's have a look at it then from where he was. It'll get very loud very quickly here, everybody, but we're going to stay with the Mustang. You can see where it's got its name. Up over the crest of the hill, he just reacts a little bit quicker to Fraser's movement than Luke Lucchese, and then it's just got such great legs on it, this Mustang, 4 of them actually. Down towards turn 1, stays nice and tight to the inside line. All is fair in love and war, and there was actually contact between the 2 teammates as well not long after this, Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega. But look, Fraser, he was slow there. Did he get a slowdown penalty or something? And oh no, then he's gone hot into turn 2. What on earth was he doing?
Rare mistake, isn't it, from Fraser Smith? Not something we're used to seeing whatsoever, but Andrew Fairley, being as he is in the Mustang, is not one to look a gift horse in the mouth, is he? He's going to go for it every day of the week and take the chances as it comes to him.
We've got one of the, well, 2 of the DDK Eagle cars right together here. Kevin Daniels ahead of Tom Weston in that massive old Mustang. Next to the tiny little Acura NSX of Henning Hauger. Oh, there's a car off in the background. That is Victor van Zeist in the Porsche. Oh, side by side there. A little bit of contact, I think, as well between Henning and Tom. There's also the other Ford in there of Matt Hoyland, the DXT Solar car. Then you've got Paul Cowlishaw, Raz Harper as well, has got no room in the Lamborghini. All of a sudden, Paul finds himself now with the front row seat to this fight just in front. But let's have a look. As Henning is off. Henning is way off. He's entered his Paris-Dakar moment here. He's going to get back on. Luckily for him, the gravel on iRacing actually stops you now. It slows you down.
So careful on the rejoin because he's going to be basically having to rejoin on the racing line. You can see he's trying to give as much space as possible. Maybe a little bit too much there, as he's now going to finally rejoin the circuit. But that was, it's even like an innocuous bit of contact side by side. I guess the speed they're going through and the fact the cars are all fully loaded onto that left-hand side through the carousel. This is Raz Harper now. This was the incident we saw earlier between himself and Victor van Zeist in the car just up in front. A look to the inside from Raz Harper. That's seemingly all above board. And Victor van Zeist, he's looking maybe for a cutback maneuver. Doesn't get it. Is it going to be the Viraco Mustang in behind that has a sniff? Ooh,
yeah, a sniff.
A little bit more of a sniff. A sniff is an understatement.
Yeah, and then said Mustang gets clouted itself as well, doesn't it?
And so it does get up and running again, but I'm not sure if there's damage that's forced him to go into the pits. Let's have a look and see. I think he's up and running again. Can't see him on time himself. He seems to have vanished from wherever I can see him.
I've got him.
He's been in the pits. He's in the pits at the moment.
Yeah, I've got him way down the order.
He had
42nd
must have
position.
done suspension damage, unfortunately.
It's a huge shame. Yeah, apologies everybody for the timing going up and down. Obviously, we're drawing less cars with the simply massive amount of them that there are in this championship, so toning it down slightly. When we go to one end of the order, it'll look like other people have disappeared, but it'll catch back up in time. And so too will Fraser Smith and Andrew Fairley. It's great to see a Mustang leading the way, though. We've had Dan McCauley doing the Mustang proud in other championships that we commentate on, but Andrew Fairley, certainly in this livery as well, looking even better right now. Car number one. Well, position board number one in the car, I should say. Looking to hold on to it. Luke Lucchese in third position. Multiple champion in this series, let's not forget. He will want to try and retain that crown where possible. And he will not want somebody like Fraser Smith coming in first time round and taking it away from him, because Fraser's been a real grenade amongst the pigeons with everyone around him, hasn't he? But not in a bad way. He's been an absolutely fantastic driver to watch. Very exciting this season. Sometimes his own worst enemy. But he's been mighty exciting in the Conehead racing machine. It looks like something that would enter Robot Wars, this car. But you know what? He's making it move quickly.
Yeah, he's seemingly going well. It does actually remind me, was it Roadblock?
Yes, it was Roadblock, Ed.
Oh,
yes,
Roadblock.
I'm so pleased you got the reference.
Deep cut of the Robot Wars knowledge. That was my jam growing up as a kid. I remember watching it day in, day out. Had all of the DVDs. I think it was on
VHS back then, wasn't it?
VHSs back then. Yeah, that was what they were. I forgot the name of them, but yeah, on the VHSs, had the whole set of them. It was great.
God.
See him live.
Stuff the race. Do you remember the first time Cassius ever self-righted itself and it blew everybody away? Oh,
that was just mind-blowing. That was. Then, was it Tornado, the one that could run either way up? First time Matt got flipped over and just kept on going.
There was Tornado, yeah. It was like a sort of fiberglass thing with like a red frame around it. And then there was Pussycat, which was four wheels but a really weird shape.
Hypnodisc.
I was just going to say Hypnodisc. I have a piece of Hypnodisc somewhere. I met the guys at an air show, funnily enough. They were demonstrating it, and I asked them for a piece of it, and they signed it. And that was one of my very favourite robots ever on Robot Wars. Hopefully none of these lot, though, turn themselves into Hypnodisc and go for a spin tonight, because that will not be of any sort of benefit to their race, let alone turn into Panic Attack or Razor. Anyway, we could list them all night. Fraser Smith, though, in second place.
Definitely not Diator.
Oh, not Diator, yeah. Don't turn into something red and furry and set yourself on fire. Yeah. No. But Fraser Smith, he's looking a bit more threatening than Diator right now. It was actually called Nemesis at first. Anyway, we must stop. He's looking more threatening than it right now. They're right up behind Andrew Fairley, and he's going to know that is Andrew, but we've seen him soak up pressure before, haven't we? I don't think he's going to do too badly either. There's another nerdy tangent we could go on while talking about Andrew Fairley's car, and that's the number of his car as well. One of my very favourite aircraft, the BAE 146.
Oh dear, we've got to move on to the road, on the road here, Chaz, because we could just talk.
Oh, look at motor race
night. There's actually racing going on. Unfortunately for our nerdy brains, we have to focus on our jobs.
Sorry, James.
Talk about the racing here as Andrew Fairley. He is definitely got the pace, but I think we're getting to the phase of the race now where the Porsche is starting to come into their own. The Mustang, while it's good over one lap, just over the course of the race, I think it started to wear its tyres a little bit too much, whereas the Porsche is very gentle and sort of a perfect endurance car. It doesn't seem to have phases where it gets slower or faster. It stays pretty steady throughout the entire race, and if anything, just gets quicker as the stint wears on, as the car gets lighter. Whereas the Mustang, it kind of has ebbs and flows where it struggles a little bit in the early phase where it's fully laden with fuel and the tyres start to get warm, but then as it lightens up, it starts to get quicker again. And Andrew Fairley definitely feeling the pressure now as he goes super defensive in towards what we call this turn 3 or 4.
I'm going for turn 3. Yeah, I'm calling it
turn 3. And that's also upsetting Fraser Smith's run out of the corner is Luke Lucchese. He's trying to see if there's any opportunities arising for him to get up the order.
Luke Van Gortel, championship contender, is off the circuit. Daniel Lee has lost a few positions as well. Let's see what happened to Luke here. Oh, he was side by side with Matteo Carbonari. Oh, he just tried to get back on. I mean, he didn't give him any room, and then that's... I don't think he took him out on purpose there, but Danny Lee got caught up in it, didn't he? That was not brilliant. I mean, Carbonari was trying to get back on the circuit. Luke ran him out of room. They got stuck together, and then he was trying to get back on, so he was left hand down, and then there was netcode. Netcode beyond netcode. And then Danny, he got turned onto the inside of the circuit from that.
Is there damage on the Mustang? Is it driving straight? Because it looked like a bit of a substantial impact, to be fair, on the right front corner.
If you can see it.
Continued on. If we go on board maybe out of the final corner, see if the steering wheel looks fine.
Steering wheel's moving around a lot.
Looks a bit like a handful as much as the Mustang is anyway, so I don't think it's... If there is damage, it's noticeable for Danny at this moment in time. Way out the corner as well. Car looks like it is steering fine for the moment. This was Ryan
Carbonari involved in strife again. Buttons into the back of him. Fair play, Ryan. He kept that out of everybody's way. That's a terrifying place to be. But you know what? He kept that car very well out of the way. But that's the second time in about as many minutes that we've seen Matteo Carbonari really stirring it up. Yeah, he's carried on somehow.
That car does not look like it's fit to continue with the entire front end.
No, this is the low downforce
elsewhere, probably stuck on the inside of turn 4 by the looks of things.
Look at the Mustang convention ahead. Considering they're different teams, the liveries are very similar, aren't they, actually? You've got the Danny Lee Racing drivers together. That is Dean Powell trying it on Chris Versteinen. Big slide by Chris. Flying formation up the hill towards the left-hander. Now Danny Lee's going to be on the inside of his teammate Dean. He goes through. Good teamwork that by Dean. He now plays rear gunner to the Porsche behind, which is Gianni Tahar, one of our favourite drivers in the series. We don't have favourites, but he's always a good interview, is Gianni. Very enthusiastic. Danny's moving this way and that way. I don't know if that's in protest to say, look, Chris, pick your lane, sunshine, stick there. But these two are absolutely all over each other. The Mustang's big enough as it is, but they've melded it into one now, and it's an 8-wheeled Mustang. Probably needs it to get that traction down, to be honest with you. He's got the wipers on as well to get rid of all the dust. Dean Powell's gone deep. Deep Powell, you could call him. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff. Jean Breitenbach now looking down the inside. He can't hide there. Down the inside. Oh, he's done it as well. It's like Carbonari. He's got a force field on that car, and oh my goodness me. Who was that in the Mustang that got hit there? Was that Tom Weston? Yeah, Tom Weston is a wing down and I think damaged. Yep, that is going in the barrier.
Deary me. And throughout all of that as well, Fraser Smith has gotten ahead of Andrew Fairley. We've missed out on the
that's boring
for the
though,
lead, but that is pedestrian, isn't it, compared to what we've just witnessed?
Wow.
We'll have to have a look and sort of digest everything that's gone on in the past sort of couple of minutes, because it's all changed out in front. Andrew Fairley dropping back in behind Fraser Smith, but not dropping away. Two of them still very close together. This was the moment now going through this. It's probably going to be through the carousel, isn't it, where the move gets sealed.
That's where he first went for it. Then I was just trying to go back as far as I could. Got down the inside into the left-hander, round the outside of the right. That's really good stuff from both of them. Tough but fair. Very, very close. Fraser still down the inside. He's one of these drivers that's not scared to send it and not scared to make the moves. We've seen it before. And he gets into the race lead. Now can Fairley stay ahead of the likes of Luke Lucchese, and importantly, can he stay with Fraser Smith as well, because that's going to be pivotal to his performance. Yannis Albert is right behind Luke King. Not seen much of these two yet tonight, but they remain there. The car behind is not for position either. That is a lap down. That's car 68, I believe. Bobby Trundley is that. It is. Bobby's 17th in class, while this man, Jason Hodgson, continues to lead in the pro class. Fretwell is 9 seconds behind him. Then Jennings is another 7/10 back. So Jason Hodgson at one of his home races this season, because we've got a few American rounds, he's having an absolute whale of a time.
He's really enjoying life out here, and it's great to see him up the order. Currently in 14th place. And again, it's the top 18 drivers that will be inverted in position. And currently 18th place is held by Robert Backer, the sim racing team Lowlands Mercedes. So well for Robert at the moment in time. Ale Torres and Chaz Draycott chasing him down. For the moment, it seems to be pretty easy breezy for Robert Backer at the moment in time. He's got quite a big buffer actually in behind, doesn't he, to himself and Mike Fowler.
Yeah, he's got about 4 seconds back to Mike's McLaren, which has had a little bit of a bump here and there. But Chaz is now watching his mirrors, because he's also had a bit of damage on the rear and the front of that Mustang. It's having a bit of a tough time, but he's got one of the prettiest cars in the field, the Inosis Esports Ale Torres NSX. Very clean and every panel straight on it at the moment, unlike it was at Zolder, which is I think why he started at the back of the grid, because he affected the race leaders with his own moment. He's been a little bit of a loose cannon at points as Ale, but he's been very, very good value for money in terms of the entertainment factor. Both of them running the Michelins on their liveries on these cars. A lot of them you'll see will run Pirellis and different number boards, but these guys on the Michelins at the moment. And Ale makes another position. That's now 28 places gained so far in this race. I want to give a shout to Chris Versteinen as well, actually, in that Mustang that we were looking at before. He's gained 10 positions to get up into 7th. He's having a right good run of things. 16 for Lawrence van der Wouter. He's going well for LS Racing. And actually, it's funny to mention LS Racing today, because LS Racing in the real world is Luke Simmons, who races in the Legends, a good friend of mine, and it's actually his birthday today. So happy birthday, Luke. I doubt he'll ever watch this or hear it, but still. Lauren De Dapper side by side with Ashley Brooks here for class position. The two of them glued to each other. To be fair, I'd want to rub myself all over that NSX as well as he goes back down the inside, and that's a wet and dry rub down the inside. Ash says, have some of that, son. No holds barred there by Ash. Big old send. And they're both lucky to carry on, to be honest. That was a little bit brash.
Yeah, certainly. Ashley Brooks there, able to get the move made. I guess it was more Lawrence that Apple didn't really want to damage that beautiful livery. No scraping of the paintwork for Ashley there. As we move to Matt Hoyland for the DXT Solar Mustang.
Sorry, there was a bit of movement further down, and I tried to catch whether it was actually drawn cars or not. As Jason Hodgson's getting himself in a fight here with Paul Cowlishaw, who's sideways. What a save! What a save by Cowlishaw, but this is not what Hodgson needs. He could drop out of the top 18 positions here, lose reverse grid pole, but importantly, lose positions in class if the likes of Alex Fretwell, Chris Jennings, and Francois Brandet, who I must say is having a good race, catch back up to him.
Yeah, it's been a very busy and exciting race for a lot of the field. Actually, it's Christopher Steinen who's having a great race as well, a bit under the radar, but he's gained 10 positions from where he started, 9 in class. So Christopher Steinen for Veraco Esports Team Orange are having a great race all the way up in 7th, and I think again in that intense battle between himself and Danny Lee, Luke King just up ahead. It's just Danny Lee, the focus on him behind. Luke King is checked out.
I think we ought to, next time we come here in these conditions at Road America, we need to issue an epilepsy warning for the shadows as they head down into that final bit of the hill, because the shadows there on the trees are absolutely insatiable. Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega, again, come into another championship here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 season, and just seem to want to fight each other rather than everybody else. These two are always very entertaining. Whether Troy Dolinchek goes on circuit with them or not for the last few seasons, they've been also great value for money. Lovely entertainment as Raz Harper, his Grass Harper at the moment as he's off the road, back on ahead of Jason Hodgson, who in big fast racing is having to show big fast patience and just wait behind all of these elite class drivers that are making their own days difficult. Robert Bakker doesn't need to put pressure on here. I think Jason will know what the score. I'm sorry, like, this isn't just at Rob, but why do it? I don't get it. Why follow that close? If at the end of the day, we've seen it a lot that, you know, iRacing's update to the damage model a while ago means that the car behind, if you brush the car in front, Gianni's off. If you brush the car in front, it will go around, similar to how R-Factor and Assetto Corsa always have. Why do it to yourself? I don't get what the benefit is. No disrespect to Rob in particular, but I just don't understand the thought process behind doing that. I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, but you've ruined your own race by just hitting the back of the car in front.
It's one of those situations where I think even now I'll probably agree with you, but it's with the benefit of hindsight. When you're in the race, in the cockpit, and frustrated after how many laps in behind, you want to try and push a little bit more to try and unsettle the cars in front of you, and you're not necessarily the most logical person when you're behind the wheel of a race car. That's the only thing I can do to be diplomatic, because I agree with you. It doesn't really seem to be the most sensible thing to do on a racing circuit is follow that closely in behind. It's better to give yourself a bit more of a buffer actually going through that right-hander to then try and catch up on the way out of the corner, so you actually got enough time to gain from the slipstream and make the move up the inside. It's all about timing where you find yourself out on the circuit, because if you get a great run but you're suddenly right there behind them on the exit of the corner, you're not going to be able to really benefit from the slipstream and slingshot your way past them. It's all about just managing the gaps and choosing a moment to set up the moves, instead of sort of having to deal with them as they appear for you. And speaking of moves being made, actually, Danny Lee did get ahead of Chris Steinen throughout all of that. Might need to look back at a few replays here or there. Meanwhile, out in front, it's still Fraser Smith ahead of Andrew Fairley, and then Luke Casey in third.
Just trying to see where it was that Daniel... here we go for P7. He's going to get it done into Canada corner. I think Chris is just going to go a little bit wide here. He's gone in a little bit hot to begin with. Danny just gets... Whoa! A big run off the corner, and down the inside he goes. Ooh, there's a kiss though, and that's where we came to them. That's where we came to it. I wondered why Chris was so much slower than him through there. But I was going to say about the Robert Bakker incident earlier on, it's better to start from further away from the car in front to get more of a slipstream from it, basically, more of a slingshot effect. So I don't know why following that closely at the apex would have been his choice. Still, we can... ask why all day long, but the fact is that it happened. So Tristan Dinabrega now, front row seat for Luke Lucchese, trying to find a way around that housing estate dressed as a Ford Mustang. Andrew Fairley having a great old race though. It's been lovely to see this. I think he's had a bit of bad luck over the first parts of the season, and here at the third round, especially in race 1, he's going very well. He's having to defend though, and we've seen this before, haven't we, in half-hour races, Ed, where the Mustang definitely shreds its rear tyres more than its fronts because it's just not got the traction to put the power down without spinning them up.
Andrew having to really defend for all he's worth through every single corner. Are we going to see a repeat of what caused him to lose the race lead? As he gets pitched into a spin, the two cars come together and attach themselves to one another on the exit of the right-hander, and then it's the Mustang, would you believe it, that actually comes off worse throughout all of that tussling between itself and the much lighter Porsche. We'll have a look from an aerial point of view just to see exactly what happens. Is it more he's running wide and then comes across the nose, which is what pitches him round?
I think Luke tries to keep it tight, but... Andrew,
6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
You've covered off my response well. I'll shut my mouth.
There we go. It's best to try and be diplomatic in the heat of the moment and see what happens.
No, but Andrew was on the curb.
That is
sorry, Luke.
Very valid. Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things that the stewards will look at definitely with intensity, so we can just focus on what we see out on circuit.
What we call the iRacing glue was very apparent there, which is, it sticks the cars together regardless of whether the car on the inside is turning right or left. It seems to pitch it across the front of the other car as if it's going in a straight line, which is really unfair on that inside car. So, not all the blame can be put on Luke there, but it did seem to me like there wasn't a lot of room. Despite it being a Mustang's width on the inside, it wasn't a huge amount of room left there, I'm afraid. There's a little moment there by Tristan Dinabrega. Both these RDSA eSports cars doing well inside the top 5. Don't forget, we've got 3 of them in the top 5 actually. With because we're on board with Luke Lecate. No, wait, what?
We've got
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Dina Brager is second. Yeah, with Yannis Helbert third, Luke Lecate fourth. For some reason, I pictured it that Luke was ahead of the pair of them there, even though it's clearly written in front of me. I should just go to bed. But Tristan Dina Brager and his teammate making it very clear that they're not just sat in flying formation. They're having a little look here and there, aren't they?
Yeah, as the the V8 convention is
the stable.
This second sort of it's had its weekly gathering of the V8 convention, as we get all of those Mustangs together out on circuit. A great little tussle for 6th place, headed by Danny Lee. Christopher Steiner and Andrew Fairley were tussling there, and I think Steiner actually just got ahead of Andrew Fairley. I'm not sure if Fairley's got damage, which might be hampering his pace, because it doesn't necessarily look to be the most comfortable ride out there for the driver that was leading the first 5 minutes of the race. Credit though to the likes of Chris Verstappen actually for his way to keep himself out of trouble mainly, which is why he's been able to have such a good run of form, isn't it? We've seen almost all of these other drivers in the top 10 have their moments, whereas Chris has kind of just kept his head down and let it all happen around him.
Oh, there's a car off the road there. That's going to get hairy. Oh my god, I held my breath till they came back in shot. That was Luke King in the Alpha 1 Esports car, and he needs to park that. Instead of trying to drag that back, he's going to get in someone's way here. Especially here, because it's going to want to spin on this apex. God, we've got dented cars everywhere with Matteo Carbonari's Mercedes going by, but yeah.
I think it's best to look away from this, but let's do...
No.
Sort of something happen. Okay, never mind. We're gonna.
This is one for the evidence locker, Ed. This is. This is one for the evidence. That's what we've got to do.
Oh, dear,
we're helping the stewards.
There we go. So Luke King, thankfully, no contact being made, even though it wasn't necessarily the most.
Oh,
yeah, it just snaps. Hard hit. That complete left-hand side just crumples in on itself.
That's a sickening impact. Who was it that went off there in IndyCar? Was it Sebastian Bourdais? Went off there a long time ago, had a very similar accident. Oh, it's that little movement there. Fair play to the guys behind, because they did a great job to not hit him. But yeah, I think it was Sebastian Bourdais had an IndyCar go around on him there, and he smacked the wall. It was a terrifying accident, but luckily he was okay.
I'll tell you who else has been having a pretty torrid time of things, as we see Luke King is in the pits now. Any driver in the Corvettes. They've not been having a good time on the home soil, have the Corvettes. We've seen them all involved in incidents here and there. It's Ryan Ottens who's down 11 places from where he started. Gilles Philippart's also down 11 places from where he started. And then Marcel Breitenbach, he's in the pits and not out on the circuit. So that's not been a good evening for the Corvettes on home soil, is it, Chaz, unfortunately for them?
Absolutely not. We've got a load of battles going on here. Ashley Brooks having a look at Lawrence van der Wouter. He's got... Sorry, Laurent de Dapper. He's then got Laurent. He's got Laurent either side of him in a similar coloured Porsche. We've never noticed that before. The LS Racing guys everywhere here. We've got a BMW. Look at that. Oh my goodness me! It's a BMW. Even the Quad Dash Racing livery can't make that BMW look good.
Oh. You're telling a lie, Chad. You're telling an absolute porky. It looks beautiful.
I'm not. You can tell porkies all you want when you're looking at that pig. Look at it. It's just terrific.
Big little.
It gets worse every time I look at it.
Look at it.
Little piggy snout. If you drove that near a school, it would ingest children. It's just awful. Absolutely awful thing.
Most BMW drivers aren't allowed near schools, so he's safe anyway.
Oh my God. Well, it's been a good time commentating with Ed May. His career has just come to an end.
Gotta have something to blast the BMW drivers about. They have an easy time with things. You don't hear enough people talking ill on BMW drivers, do you, Chaz? They have it too good.
I'm one of them, so I can laugh about indicator fluid all I want.
Oh yeah, what's the that little symbol? It shows you've got a genie, isn't it? You've got to rub it 3 times to make a wish.
Yeah.
And then your engine explodes.
Wish my car wasn't as rusty as it was.
Yeah.
Still, right then. Back to the battle of Andrew Fairley. I mean, he's having quite the saga here, isn't he? He's lost the guys ahead now. Gianni Tahara's got ahead and gone away, and now more Porsches going past. The boot's actually wobbling around on it.
Oh, yeah.
The boot's open. Can't let that come open, otherwise you'll see all the dead bodies in the boot. No, we're not running with that one. Oh, he's close to the back of Kevin Daniels there. Very, very close to the back of the Porsche. There's that 145 machine. It's been very tidy, this race, actually. Kevin Daniels has had 7 places gained. Will Soper just in front, also under the radar. Those two sort of just remaining in flying formation throughout all of this. Seeing what they can make of it. Just up the road, they've got Gianni Terhara in another one of the Porsches. And we've got the trio of Mustangs spread out a little bit more now, because let's face it, you can't fit 3 of them in the same postcode. We've got Daniel Lee, Christopher Stein and Dean Powell. But we were looking at Fraser Smith before, and we'll look at him again because he's having an absolutely brilliant time in this race. There's a lot of gravel been pulled onto the circuit on the exit there. Now that we've turned the particle effects down a little bit after Zolder, the sandstorm that it was, things seem to be a little bit better. Fraser Smith then round the final corner to start the last lap of this race. He's had a really solid ride of this one, hasn't he, Ed? And we've said it similar. I'm not going to compare him to another driver in another series, but Ed made the very good point in the past that said drivers, well, the only thing that could stop said driver is said driver. And I've sometimes felt that about Fraser Smith in other series we've seen him in, but he's shown some very mature drives here. He was very abrupt in his move down the inside, but he at least got it stopped and it was under control when he did it this time, as opposed to in the past we've seen big sends that don't quite go well.
Yeah, I think he set up the move a few corners in advance, knowing that through the inside of that left-hander, before you get to the carousel, it's a difficult corner to fight if you're on the outside. So you can really set up those moves in advance by staying alongside up until you get to that corner. Annie Lee, side by side with Christopher Steinen. In behind now, getting a nice helping of the slipstream in towards turn 3. Is he going to fancy a late lunge on the brakes? He's close enough to maybe think about it, instead opting to widen out the corner as much as possible, aiming for the run out of the corner, which he gets, but won't be close enough to make a move underneath the Corvette bridge. So wonderful move there by Verstainen, up into 5th place. This is Ashley Brooks' race coming to an end. By looks, just pulling over to the right hand side and vacating the race circuit. Fortunately, that seems to be the end of Ashley Brooks' race there. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe something's taking his attention outside of the sim. Hope all is well there.
Has the checkered flag come out? Because it's showing at the top of my screen. I hope Ash hasn't thought the checkered flag has come out and stopped a lap early.
Oh dear.
Because we've seen that happen, haven't we, Simon Povey? What?
Oh, yeah, hopefully Simon is not watching, but
I hope not. He'll never watch again if he is. But still.
I have seen that happen many times before, but credit Fraser Smith, he's not stopped for anyone, has he?
No checkered flag or not. I think Fraser will just keep going for another half hour, to be honest. Fraser Smith wins his 3rd race in a row here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Great drive from him. RDSA Esports across the line in flying formation. The 2 NSXs of Tristan Dinabrega and Yannis Albert ahead of Luke Lucchese. Then it's going to be Christopher Stein and Danny Lee next up in the Mustang. Great battles by all of those guys. Dean Powell and Thomas Pugh right together. And we look a bit further back to try and find Jason Hodgson next up in the field and see what he does about this victory, because, well, he doesn't have to do too much, does he? He's absolutely blitzed it in his class there. Fretwell is going to come home in 2nd place, though, and he's going to be over the moon with that, because that McLaren, well, one of only 2 in the field, running well. Chris Jennings also doing very, very well in GT3s, isn't he?
Yeah, great bounce back actually for Alex Fretwell after the disappointment that he had last time out at Zolder. It was just unfortunate when the rain he wasn't able to keep the pace up, but now back up onto the podium, some strong championship points, and also a favourable reverse grid, because he will be on the front row alongside Chris Jennings, and that is actually a very tasty sort of front 5, isn't it, actually, with the 3 pro drivers in the mix for the championship all up there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a real belter. 2 of the pro drivers on the front, and then Jason Hodgson next. I'm really looking forward to that, see what they can make of it. Ale Torres, only 15 places gained in the end, so I think something happened to him in the later stages of that race, because he was, well, he had some 28 positions gained, was it, at one point? I'm sure that he had a lot more than that at one stage. So I'm not quite sure if he had an incident with somebody else or what, but still, more cars still finishing though. John Breitenbach next up. He's come out of hiding, and it's not gone particularly well for him in this race, unfortunately. I think he was involved in one of the incidents earlier on, and he crosses the line just behind Jack Wyborn, who is right up there in the championship as well. Now, he was obviously hoping to get that reverse grid pole position. But no, it has gone nowhere near his way in that race, so he's also had some dramas, and that will complete the first race of the night here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Let's have a look at some results, shall we, and go through them in a class at a time. So Fraser Smith takes the win, 2.9 seconds clear of Tristan Dinobrega, with Yanis Albert in third. Luke Lucchese was fourth, ahead of Chris Versteinen, with Daniel Lee and his teammate Dean Powell in seventh. Thomas Pugh is in eighth, ahead of Gianni Terhar, with Will Soper in 10th. Then we had Kevin Daniels 11th, Andrew Fairley eventually in 12th. That is an unfair result for Fairley, you could say. Matteo Carbonari was his own worst enemy in that race. He finishes unlucky 13th. Mike Fowler is 14th, ahead of Kaz Brinkhausen. Then it's Henning Hauger and Ryan Ottens, with Kostek Soloviej in 18th place in that one. Behind him was Paul Cowlishaw and Luke King in the top 20. Gilles Philipparts is 21st, ahead of Ale Torres, Raz Harper, and then Jean Breitenbach. Luke Van Gortel 25th, ahead of Tom Weston. Robert Bakker was one lap down, with Kevin Poon not taking to the start of the race. Ed, why don't you take it away with the Pro Class?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yeah, Jason Hodgson, great race from him. Didn't see too much of it, but he kept himself out of trouble, which is what you need to do in these races, especially here at Road America. Great result ahead of Alex Fretwell, who bounces back from Zolder with a strong second place. Keep an eye out from him on the front row, alongside the man in third place, Chris Jennings. He has had a great race to come through on the podium and find himself with the all-important pole position for the second race of the evening. Francois Brandet in fourth. Strong points, but just misses out on that pole position. Will be gutted that he won't have a chance for some more points this evening, but still could find himself in a good result if he's able to keep himself ahead of the driver who finished in fifth. Just behind him, Glenn Andrew Christensen for Chapter X, ahead of Tristan Engelstad there in sixth place. Simon Wareham in seventh, ahead of Lawrence van der Water. Victor van Zeist in ninth, ahead of Matt Hoyland for DXT Solar, rounding out your top 10. Ranko Kapovic for LS Racing, while he started from the pits, ended up coming back out and coming through to 11th place. It's not a bad result whatsoever, ahead of Alexander Drillby. Jack Wyborn in 13th, ahead of Lawrence Dedapper. Alex Brooks, Bobby Trundley, and David Wester, with Malcolm Coates also a lap down. Eric Fillet finished 2 laps down, and then not finishing the race, Martin Kenyon and Marcel Breitenbach.
Yeah, Martin was saying before the race he hopes this one goes well, and even with his hiding, seems like it hasn't, unfortunately, this time round. He said that didn't go well. He also told us that it was Danica Patrick that was one of the drivers. She went off at the kink at Indy as well. And I'm sure it was a few years ago, it was Sebastian Bourdais. I remember seeing the highlights of it. It was part of a qualifying session. Oh, hello, Paul Cowlishaw nearly ended up doing the same thing then, with a big old wobble in the NSX. I love this Suma GP2 livery because it works on every car they put it on, whether it be a round car or a pointy car or an absolute brick. It just works. And they changed the logo, obviously, slightly for every single one. But I really do enjoy this and how it looks. Sounds good as well, the NSX. But it seems like Fraser's... Well, some of Fraser's fan club, JK and Benjamin Bartley, are in the chat cheering him on. And they'll be excited for this next race of the night. Just a minute and a half left of the warm-up session now. Just for the drivers to stay sharp, do what they need to do. To be fair though, Ed, it was quite a tame first race. A few incidents here and there, a few weird little accidents, but there was no sort of particular trouble point of the circuit aside from the usual kink, was there? Nobody had any major troubles anywhere else.
No, but we'll see if that's going to be the case in the second race. I do think that a lot of the time we see drivers, they aim to be more cautious in the first race and then, well, throw it to the wind in the second. So we'll have to find out if it'll be that kink, just the kink, that's causing the issues, or if we'll find it in the case that some of these other corners. I know this one in particular is a corner where you can easily take a little bit too much speed into it, get yourself off into the barriers or into the gravel trap. I'm enjoying this little warm-up because it gives us a little bit more time to enjoy Marcel Breitenbach's barbecue bread racing Corvette, which we unfortunately didn't get to see too much of in that first race.
No, it's a fantastic looking machine. Lovely livery. They've always had good liveries, these guys. I remember actually the first few seasons that we broadcasted, they just had sort of white and green cars, but I think it was, Was it Jean Breitenbach that had the Audi last season, or was it Marcel? I can never remember. I think Marcel was in the BM and Jean was in the Audi, and it was an amazing looking racing car that they had last season with this beautiful design all over it. And it was similar to this, but it was a lot more jagged and a bit more colourful, so hopefully we get to see that livery come out once again very soon. We now go into the race. The warm-up will finish. Tick over, you'll see everything blip in and out for a second. I wonder if the lighting will change, whether the sun will move at all. I'm just checking where those shadows are. Seems not. Seems like we're going to be in the same conditions here. Yeah, it's fixed at 11:20 AM in the sim. We are still in the same air pressure as the sun. And we are looking forward to... That joke won't ever get old, don't worry. We are looking at an interesting grid for this one with 2 pro drivers on the front row. Chris Jennings alongside Alex Fretwell. Kaz Brinkhausen gets an extra special grid space for his long name alongside Mike Fowler. And it's Jason Hodgson looking for another podium in this. Matteo Carbonari was just looking for a cleaner race, to be honest. Andrew Fairley in 7th with Kevin Daniels alongside him. Then it's Will Soper and Gianni Terhar on the 5th row of the grid. Thomas Pugh lines up alongside Dean Powell 11th and 12th. Then it's Danny Lee and Christopher Steinen looking to continue the battle of the Mustangs. Luke Lucchese is 15th ahead of Yannis Albert in 16th. Tristan Dinnebrega 17th. And race 1 winner, Fraser Smith, will start from 18th position. The rest of the field are as they finished, in their necessary classes anyway. And they will obviously now cycle through. But let's not forget that these drivers have to think about class position. Why is Malcolm Coates' name so long? But they have to think about class position here rather than overall position here, Ed. It's more important to keep an eye on your class instead of your overall places, isn't it?
Yes, it does, but we don't often see drivers racing with that in mind, which is something that we do enjoy. We love to see the drivers obviously battling away, but if it becomes an issue where they're slowing themselves down and causing incidents, then it does become a point where you need to think about the bigger picture. But usually in the opening phase of a season, the drivers are just out there to have fun, race, and then see where they are come the end, when the sort of more strategic minds start to emerge on the drivers. But for now, we're going to expect to see Chris Jennings and Alex Fretwell not really want to concede many places to the cars behind, because, well, their main targets are going to be getting ahead of one another. Alex Fretwell on the back of 1 podium, nearly victory as well at Zolder. We'll look to see if he can get class victory this time out ahead of Chris Jennings.
You said a moment ago about just enjoying it, actually. I had a message off Francois Brandet about his livery earlier on, what he entitled, "What effing livery will Francois run this week?" Welcome to episode 4. He said this season's all about enjoying the racing again after a very try-hardish last season. So long as he has a nice race, he doesn't mind where he finishes. We'll see how quickly that goes out the window when the race gets underway. But Daniel Lee, starting with his teammate near him. To be fair, him and Dean Powell, in series that we've commentated on them in before, they've always been together on circuit, haven't they? They've always been really good wingmen for one another, and it's great to see that that continues through into the Mustangs here. We've covered them in the Aston Martin GT4 cars before, and they were brilliant there too. Now they're in the white, black and red of GT Omega, and they have the very similar looking livery of Christopher Steinen in there to ruin the fun as well. Chris was a great defender in that one, trying to stay ahead of these guys, and this time he's going to try and do that all over again. But let's not forget, he's got Yannis Albert, Tristan Dinnebrega, Fraser Smith and Luke Lucchese for company as well. A lot of these drivers from the very front of the order will be certainly hoping to get through in the early stages of this race, so they're not on the back foot. Alex Fretwell's McLaren is on the front row, which is great to see. He's got the Motor Neurons Disease Association livery and logo on the car as well. Sort of reminds me of the, it's not a Codis, is it, that used to run the Sky McLarens? Who was it? Sky Tempesta used to run the Sky livery, didn't they, with the big orange and purple gradient down it. And it sort of reminds me of a sort of reverse version of that. Very good looking car, that McLaren. Interested to see that the 2 McLarens we have in the field actually are both in the top 4, with Mike Fowler there in 4th spot as well. Another great looking livery with some lovely gradients all over it, the Quad Dash Racing colours. Although, I'll say this, Ed, at the risk of getting absolutely slated by them, I preferred the ones from a few seasons ago.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, actually. Yeah,
the first one we saw on Gianni Terhar's Porsche was absolutely amazing. They're still very beautiful, don't get me wrong. The spec map work they've done, I mean, if we look at it when it goes in the sun here, you'll see that there's multiple sort of shades of silver on it. It looks epic, but that Porsche needs more pink. I like the minty green they had on some of them. It needs more of that.
Yeah, true as well, actually, yeah. But regardless, the race is about to get underway, isn't it, Chaz?
Yes.
We've got a brilliant fight on our hands in the Pro class to keep our eyes on. Chris Jennings and Alex Fretwell. It's going to be box office, isn't it, to get us started here tonight?
Absolutely is. Second race of the night here, round 3 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championships 7th season. The A split of 2, don't forget the B split being broadcast by Joe Glass and Dara Thacker over on the Evolution Sim Racing YouTube channel. Let's get it underway, shall we? He's holding it as long as he can, is Chris Jennings. Goes at the last minute and keeps everybody on their toes right to the get-go. And everybody slots in, one behind the other. But look at that, really good stuff by Alex Fretwell. Nicely caught there to take that second place and not have anybody attacking. Let's see the front runners. Luke Lucchese side by side with Yannis Albert. He's got the Mustang squadron just ahead of him there. That's Christopher Steinen looking down the inside, I think, of Dean Powell. Danny Lee just ahead. Dean in car 177, Dean in 188. They're side by side now with Gianni Terhar as well in the Porsche. Looks like everybody keeps it nice and clean through there. We'll go on to the chopper cam as they go 2 by 2 down towards what should be turn 4 but is actually turn 3, I think you'll find. We've got the Lamborghinis, that Thomas Pugh in there with them as well. It is. Oh, that's close. Chris gives Danny a little bit of a tap into the left-hander. Danny's gone deep. He's going to have to recover at some point. Gets back onto the road. You will see that it says Jason Hodgson leads the way in his class, but that's because earlier the top 4 didn't render on the grid, so give it a bit of time and they will pop back around. I can tell you that Matteo Carbonari is not the leader of this race. You can see him just there, but the 4 cars in front of him are, of course, our actual top 4. It's Alex Fretwell, though, that leads this race ahead of Chris Jennings as, Will Soper is around a Jason Hodgson. Jason Hodgson, the class winner in the previous race. Well, they've made a very pretty car park on the grass there, but that's not going to help no one.
No, that isn't. Have a look and see exactly what happened there. It was just Will Soper getting into the back, wasn't it, of Jason Hodgson. That doesn't make for pretty viewing.
No, it doesn't. As Chris Jennings, where is Chris Jennings? He's still in the fight here with Mike Fowler. Oh, there's a big drama further back. There is mayhem further back. 2 LS Racing Porsches are together there. That is Matt Hoyland in the Mustang. Oh, another car off the road just ahead. That's Chris Versteinen. Versteinen is... Oh, he's broken something big time as Chris Versteinen. I think Thomas Pugh was the one that started all this.
Thomas Pugh's got no real wing.
Where the hell has his rear wing gone? Now he's... Oh my... Yeah, well, the BM went off. That's all right. Sorry.
A BM being... Yeah.
Now, is that
something
it?
Else there?
Where the heck have they gone? Oh, it was Gianni Terhar and Chris Versteinen. Oh, my goodness me. Yeah.
So... Oh, and then Versteinen's got... I think just his rear left is just gone. So let's have a look here.
Apart.
Yeah. Dissect this one.
Oh, Gianni loses it. Chris gets into him. Oh, then he gets smacked by one of the NSXs. One of the Alpha 1 Esports cars goes in. And I think the LS Racing car, is it Laurent de Dapper? He slowed down? No, it's Lorenz van der Wouter. He's involved in this big time.
Albert or Brandet have a good view of this as well, just all unfolding. I think it might be Francois Brandet.
That NSX just didn't slow down. Don't... Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Lauren's got absolutely belted there. Goodness me. Now, who was that in the NSX?
I think it was... Maybe Albert?
No, the red one behind was the one that got into him. Don't think it was Ali Torres.
Torres. Is he not? I think he's the only red NSX we have, though, isn't it?
It could be Kostek Slavic. We haven't seen much of him tonight, which would explain why we haven't recognised the livery. Don't think he slows down quickly enough for all of this. To be fair, there's smoke.
Oh,
yeah, no, doesn't slow down quickly. No, there's not a lot, but oh, and then it's broken. Who else was it that went off after that? The Mustang that went off was Chris Verstappen, wasn't it?
That was Steiner, which was the initial contact between himself and Schumacher. That just
It's
goes.
very broken. The left rear is absolutely destroyed. Well, let's try and catch back up, shall we? Alex Fretwell. Does he lead the race? Yes.
Does.
Apparently. Now, the timing is going to take a bit of time to catch up here because we've looked so far back in the order that it's just going to have to sort of cycle round on itself. There's been another drama with Matt Hoyland, John Breitenbach and Branko Kapovic. But I can tell you, wait for it, it will tick round because the rest of the cars are still going across the line. It's Alex Fretwell leading the way overall and in the Pro class. Chaz Brinkhausen leads the Elite class. 2 McLarens in the top 3. It's going beautifully well for them at the moment.
I think it's also been thrown off because a lot of people have pulled into the pits, which sort of jumps them around, doesn't it? It pulls them in front, so that's why we've been sort of jumbled up. Matteo Carbonari up in 5th place at the moment, and there's Dean Powell, Danny Lee in the mix. Andrew Fairley, another driver to keep your eyes on as well. He's actually made some good progress up into, well, 3rd in class, 4th overall.
Yeah.
He missed out on the race victory the last time out in the first race of the evening, but with Mike Fowler, Chaz Brinkhausen and Alex Fretwell just up the road, he's got every opportunity to make something happen here. As long as Alex Fretwell battles and defends and holds up the drivers behind.
Yeah, we'll see what these guys do about this because let's not forget they are both in different classes right now. Chaz Brinkhausen in the Elite class wants to get ahead of these 2 Pro drivers so that he's not under immediate threat, but then again that McLaren right behind him, Mike Fowler, is an Elite class driver, so definitely not an easy ride for him by any stretch of the imagination. And then Andrew Fairley in the background will want to try and put pressure on them. Matteo Carbonari having a much better race this time round. The car's still got its front end on it. Loads of gravel across the circuit on the inside. Luke Lucchese and Yannis Albert continuing on the theme that RDSA drivers are all over each other all the time. And finally, Thomas Pugh drops down the order. No offence, Thomas, but obviously it was skewing up our timing. Gilles Philippart's taking the Corvette off-roading for a second there through the final corner. Chris Jennings and Francois Brandet, well, they are 2nd and 3rd in class, but I thought they were closer together than that. There's a big old gap between them. Francois gained a few positions, 5 in his class. Chris has gained 3. Alex Fretwell, though, well, he's holding on really well at the moment, isn't he, Ed? He's not really fazed by anybody.
He's very, very just calm at the moment, but obviously all it takes is for one little mistake and all of a sudden you've got them breathing down your neck. So I wouldn't necessarily reckon that Alex is going to have this absolutely nailed on just yet, but all signs are pointing towards him being very comfortable out there. We know that the Mustang as well is a car that will shred through the tyres, so Alex just kind of needs to get through that phase of the race.
It's a great train of cars, actually. We look here at Dean Powell. Race leader is only 3.6 seconds ahead, and there's a couple of elite drivers in there, let's say 7 of the top 8. So it's a hell of a train that Alex Fretwell has behind him. He's under an immense amount of pressure, but he's not phased at this part of the race. Dean Powell there trying to just balance the car through the carousel, try and keep it all as tidy as he possibly can. Important to note as well that Fraser Smith was involved in that incident earlier on and has been in the pits. He's way down the order, but this is a night when Kevin Poon is not out there on circuit. Gio Philippart's having yet more problems with the Corvette as his teammate Raz Harper slots in front. Chaz Brinkhausen has got past Alex Fretwell. Typically, as soon as I look away from it, it's always the way. I think Alex just didn't have the pace through the kink. Let's have a look, Ed. Oh, that's risky.
That's, well, full send, I think it's fair to say, from Gaz. And
it's not like Alex gave it up easy, though, is it?
Make it stick. Yeah, credit to Alex, he fought as best he could, but wonderful racing there from Gaz. And we've got another Mustang, maybe fancying a little move. Is Andrew Fairley going to be late enough on the brakes? You can see actually that the 169 of, I think that is
Fowler.
Is that actually Fowler is, so he was trying to keep himself ahead. Nearly gets actually into the back of the other McLaren. But at the moment, that Mustang does struggle to put down the power, and now, well, the other V8's helping him out, actually giving him a little bump draft.
Oh, I've just noticed as well that livery has a bit of a pattern in the white section on it as well, you know. I thought it was just plain white, but there's actually a little prismatic pattern on it, as down the inside goes the NSX. Is that car 170 a lap down? Yes. Tristan Dinnebrager is a lap down on these boys. I don't condone this. Especially having a go. I mean, never give up, and he wouldn't want to give up loads of his race, but he's a lap down on these guys. You can see by the number 41 on his windscreen. It's not a desirable scenario, is that? Especially not for those around him.
There are better situations to be in.
Yeah, especially considering that he's one of the fastest drivers in the series as well. So it will be frustrating for Tristan Dinnebrager, but if I was him, I'd maybe drop to the back of this train and just sit behind your teammates here, because there's a gap of nearly 3 seconds now from Yannis Albert to Chris Jennings. He could easily sit in there and just stay with them, to be honest. Listen to how early Yannis is letting off the throttle there. Tristan's actually ended up making a position there, you know. He's ended up making a few because Fretwell has gone deep. Fairley has got past Fretwell. And now, well, the McLaren is safe for now, but we've got the battle between Danny Lee and Kevin Daniels. I can't figure out who's battling who here, Ed. They're all over each other either way.
It's just never-ending action everywhere. We try and focus on one battle, and then another one is emerging, and then as that one is into a crescendo, another battle is just starting up yet again. Here we go, Danny Lee under pressure from behind. Daniels is fancying a move on, well, Daniel up ahead. Luke Lucchese. Not going to say that he's having a look because he's not that close yet.
He's having a look, but it's hazy at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit, not quite perfect visibility for Lucchese at the moment in time. Again, still a little while to go in this race, isn't there, Chad? Still 19 minutes to go.
It's incredible how time flies when you're having fun, but we're having a lot of fun and still the race has got more than half of it left. It's crazy how it works, but still, really good racing yet again here from the... Let's say it. From the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship here on Chaz Draycott Media. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors, Kame, Keenan Eco Energy and GP2 Group. As always, providing great support for this championship and those involved. Big hats off to James Bostock as well, the series admin that has done so much to help us with setting all of this up. Oh, Dean Powell was just late on the brakes there, and I don't think he meant to do that to Kevin Daniels. I'll just stay with Kevin because I wanted to see what his rejoin was like. He's going to now go back. No. Oh, don't stop there and go for... Oh, okay. Scary. So is this. Mike Fowler has got Andrew Fairley right up behind him. They share a few names in... I was going to say they share a few letters in their surname, and now they share vinyl. As Mike Fowler... I don't know if... I'm going to try not to put my steward's hat on here, but Fairley was down the inside a tiny bit, and it's not a lot, but Fowler still turned in.
Yeah, I think Fairley, he didn't really outbrake himself. I think it's fair to say there was no sort of late lunge really. He's had his car up the inside and was entitled to some room. There was enough of an overlap where that if and when we saw the McLaren of Mike Fowler try and take the apex, the car was occupying that place, and that's just unfortunately, I think, the way that the race ended for Mike Fowler there, just misjudging the overlap on the inside. It wasn't anything malicious. I think it was just one of those heat of the moment things, racing incident.
Yeah, it happens. At the end of the day, it's...
Either way, who would have believed that it would be two Mustangs leading the way, Chaz?
Isn't it just? Well, for now.
Ooh, yeah.
Although, no, that's Tristan Dinnebrager.
Yeah.
Making a nuisance of himself down the inside and finding himself in a theoretical second position. And yeah, you can see that Fairley, understandably, not happy. You could say he's fairly upset with that, as I would be, and a lot of others would be. But Tristan, hopefully, I mean, now he's done it, I suppose hopefully you'd want Tristan to go away. I don't want Andrew to continue flashing that much, because you'll actually get a smack on the wrists, or in the testicles for that. Because, to be honest, they do not like flashing here in Evolution Sim Racing. I mean lights, for crying out loud. But, you know, it is something that's very annoying. And, you know, a lot of drivers get triggered by it, but it's not something they want to see in the league. We've got the NSXs having a bit of a civil war here. quite apt, really, considering that Francois is French. But we've got Kostok Sloviec just in front of him. Now making his way through the kink. Carrying a lot more speed now after that little excursion onto the grass. Further up the order, Yannis Albert has just got ahead of Luke Lucchese in the Porsche. Two teammates swapping places. Alex Fretwell, well, he was leading the way throughout the whole race, basically, in the pro class at Zolder, wasn't he? And then it all went to pot when it started raining and he got caught up in a few incidents. It's lovely to see him. I'm going to touch wood when I say this. He's continuing on with that race lead at present, and he's got 4.5 seconds back to Chris Jennings, who is also, I was going to say undisturbed, but he's got the 172 machine, I think a lap down. Yeah, Jean Breitenbach just behind him.
Yeah, looks to me like you've assessed the situation pretty aptly, Chaz. And Alex Fretwell, well, he must be comfortable at this moment in time. Chris Jennings is also in a pretty steady place. Again, important for the championship just to have these sorts of results early on, isn't it? To get yourself nice footing come the end of the season. You never know what the next race is going to bring. So a race evening like this for Chris is going to be definitely well appreciated, with 2 podiums going to his name.
Yeah, definitely. As Tristan Engelstad, he's going to wake up and have nightmares of white and blue spiky patterns in his sleep, I think, because he's got a Corvette, a Lamborghini and a Porsche, all belonging to DDK by Eagle Speed Academy Esports around him. There's actually another one of them not too far up the road either. Glenn Andre Christensen in the Chapter X car is all that separates them from Tom Weston in the 4th DDK car. And that's all of them on the circuit as well. In that space is, Ashley Brooks having a big old slide there through the left-hander. Ash wasn't too pleased with the start procedure earlier. Apparently there was some drama further back. Some of the drivers checking up actually when they didn't go to full speed. But I think, to be honest, I mean, it was a consistent speed held in the start of this race anyway. Even though that Chris Jennings went late, he held a consistent speed. You know, I think it's always caused by the people further back that try and sort of, they capitalise on it, or they try to, don't they, by speeding up from further back and then have to slam on, and that's what causes the issues when they get caught out by it. So yeah, it didn't seem like Chris did anything wrong there, but I'm not sure if he meant the first race or not. We'll see.
We'll have a look and digest that after the fact. For now, we've got 13 and a bit minutes till the end of the race, and Andrew Fairley, he's slowly but surely, I think, reeling in our race leader, is he not, Chaz? Obviously, with the, I think, assistance of Tristan de Nobrega in the mix is probably helping out just a bit. As what have you spotted, Chaz?
I've spotted that Andrew Fairley is actually a lap faster than our race leader on that previous lap. More so, actually. Andrew Fairley was 1.05 faster than Chaz Brinkhausen at this point. So it's Mustang on Mustang at this moment. It's definitely the V8 convention at the front, because Matteo Carbonari is in 3rd place, and then Daniel Lee's in the next Mustang in 4th. So 4 beefy V8s at the top end of the order. Daniel Lee will want to make it a Mustang 1, 2, 3. That'd be pretty epic, wouldn't it? They did say the Mustang would be good here, but I didn't believe that it would have the legs over the others. It naturally does in real GT3 racing, as Alex Fretwell has a bit of self-preservation on the cards. Lets Luke Lucchese go through, and that is not for class position, so it doesn't really matter to Alex at this point. It's only overall position. But it's good to see Matteo Carbonari having a better race this time round. We've seen he's got great pace, typical Italian flamboyance, but it got a bit too much for him in the earlier race with that contact that he had. Lost the front end of the car, it really, really damaged it. But there's 2 ADX Racing esports drivers in the top 3. So he's definitely going to be hoping that Danny Lee cannot find the pace in this remaining 12 minutes.
Yeah,
it's going to be... Sorry, it's likely that he won't either, because it's a Mustang. So it'll, the tyres will go off by now.
Yeah, but you never know how Danny Lee's been able to approach this opening phase. He might have been a lot more cautious and sort of allowed the car to sort of bed in. What you do in the first 5 minutes of the race really does affect these cars later on. So it's all about making sure it's settled nicely, and then see where you find yourself after the fact. Alexander Juldi, currently in 6th position in the pro class. The Porsche breathing down his neck though. That is Martin Kenyon, actually, with a few cars in between himself and there. It's Marcel Breitenbach, Jack Weiborn. This is a great little tussle, isn't it, for the pro class positions. There's Martin Kenyon. Does he fancy a little move there on Breitenbach? Gonna try and get the overlap now. Please don't try and make it too wide through here. Oh my word,
Oh,
Kenyan.
Martin.
Oh,
And Fraser. That's Fraser Smith. Fraser Smith caught out by it. Just overconfident from Martin Kenyon, I'm afraid. Didn't need to send it round there, and it's broken the front end. That's all it takes. He didn't need to do that. He didn't need to do it, as Tristan Dinnebrega annoys more people at the front of the field. 37th place for him, right in front of Chaz Brinkhausen. Chaz is going to feel like he has to break early here, and Andrew Fairley, well, he's taken a massive chunk out of his lead there. And now we have a battle on for the lead between the two Mustangs. Then this guy, Matteo Carbonari, next up. Danny Lee in there as well. Let's see how this goes then. The Mustang Convention spearheading the order here at Road America in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Down into the left-hander. Love the sound of this thing down through the gears. A great whine from the gearbox. Sounds like the car's supercharged, doesn't it? Which makes a really, really good racket.
Beautiful sounding kit. One of the best cars, I think, on iRacing service for the sound, besides maybe the Porsche RSR. But if you're up in that category, you've certainly done a very good job. That sounds mighty quick. Hopefully Fraser Smith's damage is not going to be terminal. He seems to be going alright though, actually. So for now, scoring some points, even though it's not really where Fraser would want to find himself, visit all the way down in 14th place after the brilliant race he had the first time of asking.
Yeah, I think looking at where you score points in your class, you only get them in the top 20, so yeah, he's on for 9 points if he finishes where he is, so he's doing alright there, because there's a different point system to the 2 races on a night. You get 50 for a win in each of the races, whereas for the 1 hour race you get 100 points. You do get points down to 20th in each of them though, so yeah, it seems like Fraser able to carry on at least and try and give himself a little bit more of a score despite not having the best race so far. Andrew Fairley seems very aggressive in this Mustang, doesn't he? He's always looking down the inside trying to go for a move. But I think that's maybe where he had that issue with Fowler earlier on, because he didn't actually want to go down the inside. He was just putting his nose there. Just found himself in a much better position than he expected. I don't even think Fowler expected him to be there, hence the fact that he turned in. So yeah, it's interesting to see. As down the inside he goes. And the ADX guys gang up on Chaz Brinkhausen. Now the Mercedes and Matteo Carbonari wants in on this as well. Hopefully he doesn't get too sendy down the inside. He's put his nose in there though. There is space. His teammate opened the door for him. Doesn't work out this time round though. Now keep your eye on Danny Lee as well, and the other Mustang behind all of this. This is going to give Andrew Fairley the perfect opportunity to get away. Daniel Lee looks down the inside. Matteo also looks down the inside. That was dangerous. Matteo looking down the inside of another car. Well, there's already one looking down the inside of him. That's not great self-preservation, but Daniel Lee got out of that. Yanis Albert is there for position as well, you know. So this NSX could also get in on the picture. Yanis has actually gained 11 positions so far in this race. He'll add a few more to his belt, no problem. But Andrew Fairley will love exactly what's gone on there. He got gutsy down the inside, and he's taken the race lead, and Chaz Brinkhausen has lost out a bit of time to go with it.
Yeah, Andrew Fairley now sees himself in the race lead in the final 7 minutes as opposed to the first 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a much better place to find yourself in, isn't it, Chaz? And Andrew is going to hope that this will be all he needs to come through for his first race victory of the season. And I believe the Mustangs' first race victory of the season as well.
Yeah, it's been just Porsche so far, Kevin Poon and Fraser Smith. So it will be the first time we've seen the housing estate take a race win. David Wester has unfortunately had an end to his race. Is he late on the brakes? No. Is it going to go... Oh, he tightens up the steering on the exit, and that is a big old biff in the front of the Porsche, and then he decides that his race is already over, so he drives it into the wall again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems to be the end there. Danny Lee. Now, again, part of the V8 convention. It's still going very strong, isn't it? Currently, it's the 4 V8s out in the front.
I think
So
Carbonari's going to go for a
He's
send.
starting
Yeah.
to the inside. Here we go. Really chucking it careful of the curb on the inside. I think he's been able to just squeeze himself through that gap.
Oh, but he's also
Under the bridge they
squeezing.
go.
He's squeezing Brinkhausen to the edge of the circuit, though. In doing so, I don't think he expected Danny Lee to be there. Oh, I don't think Brinkhausen's going to be too pleased with that. There was a little bit of contact in the first part of that move at turn 3. And Carbonari definitely through. It wasn't the worst move we've ever seen, but it is a little bit boisterous. And I feel that both moves from the ADX Racing Esports drivers have been a bit boisterous, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Chaz Brinkhausen a little bit worked up by that. I was saying earlier, though, that we've commentated on him in other series and not really seen him too near the sharp end, but here he is for an overall podium position, and of course, a podium position in the elite class as well. 5.5 minutes left to go. Yannis Albert very much in this fight as well now in that NSX. He's certainly a threat to all of these guys, as we have Glenn Andre Christensen and Tristan Engelstad having a good old scrap here. The Scandinavians. The Norwegian driver against the Swedish driver, with Raz Harper just behind them. Another Scandinavian driver not too far back, Alex Dilby, for now. Wow. Carbonari, though, holding second position over Brinkhausen. And Daniel Lee waiting in the wings. Not subtly, though, in that Mustang, is he?
No, it's anything but. I mean, it's difficult to be subtle in the Mustang. It's about as subtle as a brick to the head. It is really just erupting in your face. Yannis Albert, though, he's being a little bit subtle in this, isn't he? Just lurking, not quite throwing himself into the mix. Knows that there's 4 minutes to go. Well, when were they over the line, Chaz? Have we got, I think, this lap and then 2 more?
I think so, yeah. With 4.25 minutes left on the clock, we will have this one and then 2 more, yeah. There's a look by Danny. That's the Danny Lee fake that we've seen in series before. It's not a move that we are unfamiliar with here on Chaz Draycott Media. Hope you're all enjoying the show, by the way. What you're watching right now is the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship in its 7th season. This is Split A of Split A and B. Split B being broadcast over on the Evolution Sim Racing YouTube channel by Joseph Glass. He won't like me calling him Joseph. Joe Glass and Dara Thacker. Those two having a fantastic old time as well, I'm sure. Thanks once again to championship sponsors. Thanks, of course, to Evolution Sim Racing as well. Thanks to Kame, Keenan Eco Energy, and the GP2 Group for their continued support of this series. Us and everyone in it as well. Fraser Smith back up to 20th overall now, 14th in class. Still on for some points. Car ahead is a pro class car though, so he won't gain any points for getting past him. As right now, Yannis Albert has got past Danny Lee. Danny has gone from the hunter to the hunted.
Yannis Albert, we knew he was lurking in, waiting in the wings to see a move, and it was Danny Lee getting unsettled, wasn't it, between himself and Chaz?
Yeah.
And Yannis didn't need a second invitation. Now he can set his sights on the other Mustang of Chaz for a podium place. This would be great for Yannis.
That was really good opportunism, that, for Yannis Albert. It's the sort of move we've seen him pull off before, and he just continues to impress us here. He always has been brilliant. Had a bit of an inconsistent season or two in the Lamborghini, but he was one of the only drivers to take the fight to RDSA Esports, which is something we often say here on the channel. And to be fair, it's great to see that he's continued that on to now go and race with them in the same team. It's lovely to see him get taken under their wing like that. They've obviously recognised his talent, recognised his pace, and said, look, one of us. And just gone from there. Speaking of gone from there, Andrew Fairley has gone from the battle behind him. 1.9 seconds to the good now in this race lead on the penultimate lap of the race. Lap number 14. Seems like they've done a lot more than 14 laps, but when it's over 2 minutes a lap, even in GT3 cars, you soon realise just how big this place is, don't you?
It's massive. It really is, and the lap goes on for ages. It sort of numbs the mind a little bit, just how long it is around on a lap. Just always constantly just keeping an eye on the time, thinking, am I going to be done yet? Is it over? It makes the races feel a little bit longer, actually. If it's a short, quick lap, they sort of pass by in a blur. But here, it does seem to run a little bit for all the drivers, and we do start to wonder, when will it end? Bailey's going to be hoping when will it end. He's got, I think, a little bit too much damage, and he's dropping him back now.
Yeah.
It's just, unfortunately, proving a little bit too much as Raz Harper trying to rise it up the inside of Tristan Engelstad. Not for class position, this, and I think that was why we saw Engelstad not wanting to fight that one too hard.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, never mind. There we go, as the DDK car goes off-roading. Reading of the circuit, thankfully with no one in behind, so can carry on going. The sort of minimum of fuss and going about this day.
Fraser Smith has been disqualified from the race. He's had a meatball flag and he didn't serve it. So, unfortunately, he is out of the race. And that be that. I think he must have got that damage from the incident with Martin, for which Martin has just apologised in the YouTube chat as well. And again, good sportsmanship from both of them. Fair play, boys. Sorry to see that your races are both over, but it is what it is. It happens literally as Fraser Smith has just said. So, Yannis Albert, what can he do now about Chaz Brinkhausen? I think he can get by on this final lap to get on the podium, but Chaz has been great at defending. The only reason he's sort of come unstuck from these positions is just the boisterous nature from the ADX Racing Esports drivers, who are on for a 1-2 finish at the moment, I have to say. Brilliant stuff by both of these drivers. They've been really on it and very aggressive with their moves. There is another aggressive move down the inside by Yannis, but look at that. Great stuff by Chaz. He gives just enough room for it to be a fair move. Just puts it in the right place, right time, gets good momentum around the outside. Yannis back down the inside, and there's contact, and, well, I don't think Chaz left enough room that time around.
Yeah, not on that occasion. Let's have a look. Danny Lee, Chaz, this is Chaz around on the outside now, under the Corvette bridge. You can see a look to the inside from Yannis. There's a little bit of netcode, but from what I could see, Yannis was sort of clearly enough along the inside, wasn't running wide, and not enough room was left, unfortunately. But the end result is the same. Yannis Albert on the podium, and Danny Lee not far behind. The clock is now ticked over to 0, so this is the final lap, and Andrew Fairley, well, you can see the checkered flag in just a few corners' time greeting him for what will be his first race victory of the season.
And you know what? It's a really good story, this, for Andrew Fairley, isn't it? He had the incident in race 1 after leading for a while and being right up at the sharp end, qualifying right at the front of the grid. And it's a lovely, lovely situation to be in, to see him come from the setback earlier on to take victory in race 2 of the evening here at Road America in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Fairley wins. Carbonari second, makes it an ADX Racing Esports 1-2. Yannis Albert on the podium, and a very, very good drive by all of those involved. We need to look, though, at the Pro class, because there's only 0.6 of a second, less than that now, between the top two. Why is Fretwell going slowly? He's going to lose it on the line. Chris Jennings is going to take the victory. Chris Jennings wins. Wow. Jennings wins in the Pro class. What? Not what to the result, but what to the end. What? Quoi?
What's going on here? So, Alex Fretwell.
What on earth is this about?
Is he suffering? Is there damage or something? What's going on here?
I'm going to stick with it and just see. You don't think he's not... It's an open setup championship from what I know. You don't think he's not putting enough fuel in, do you?
No, I think he's suffering from...
He's not flat out there. That's Slavish going through. Kostek.
Is there damage or something? I'm not sure what's causing this. It seems like it's... struggling on the power. It's not like it's cutting out on the fuel, is it?
It's like he lets him by. You don't think there was an incident earlier on in the race between the two, do you?
I don't imagine there would have been.
Either way, I hope we get to speak to him, see what the situation was there. But that is, of course, the racing done for the evening. Unbelievable stuff there. Wow. Chris Jennings wins in class then in car 22. Andrew Fairley and Matteo Carbonari take a 1-2 for ADX Racing Esports. Very well done to them. I think that was a little well done nudge there from Tristan Engelstad in the Quad Dash BMW. Okay. Tell you what. Let's get the right results. Apparently multi-21, but no, because they're in different teams. Oh well. Andrew Fairley takes the win in the elite class. Matteo Carbonari, his teammate, makes it a 1-2. Yannis Albert finishes in third. Great podium. That's his second of the night, actually, as well. Daniel Lee finishes in 4th, ahead of Cass Bringhausen, with Luke Lucchese in 6th. Dean Powell 7th. Luke King finishing in 8th. Kostek Sloviec has somehow survived to 9th after the earlier incident. And then it's the DDK by Eagle Speed Academy esports team trio. Tom Weston, Kevin Daniels and Gilles Philipparts. Ryan Ottens finishes 13th. Then it's Luke Van Gortel in 14th. Thomas Pugh in 15th position. Raz Harper was next up ahead of Will Soper and Paul Cowlishaw, with Tristan Dinabrega, the last car on the lead lap, making himself a bit of a nuisance for the leaders there. Cars that were a lap down or more were Jean Breitenbach, Fraser Smith, Mike Fowler, Henning Hauger, Chris Versteinen, Gianni Terhar, Ali Torres, Robert Bakker and Kevin Poon did not take to the start. Ed, why don't you take it away, mate, with the Pro Class?
Thank you very much, Chaz. And yeah, a dramatic end to the race in the Pro Class sees Chris Jennings take the race victory over Alex Fretwell. I have no idea what was going on with Alex. Neither of us really do, Chaz. But the end result is still Chris Jennings ahead of Alex Fretwell. Francois Brandet completing the podium in the Pro Class. Tristan Engelstad in 4th ahead of Glenn Andrew Christensen in 5th. Alexander Driddleby in 6th ahead of Jason Hodgson. Lauren Thedapper in 8th ahead of Eric Valet in 9th. Malcolm Coates in 10th, rounding out the top 10, just ahead of Marcel Breitenbach for Barbecue Bread Racing. Bobby Trundley is 12th ahead of Jack Wyborn. Lawrence DeVorta, Ranko Kapovic and Simon Wareham 15th and 16th. 17th sees Ashley Brooks finish a lap down, and then 6, 7, 8 laps down is David Wester, Martin Kenyon, Matt Hoyne, and those drivers not finishing the race. Victor Van Zijst as well, not taking the checkered flag.
Right then, let's try and somehow piece that together with some interviews, shall we? Let's see who we've got waiting in here. Well, I'd love to speak to our race winner, Andrew Fairley, but it doesn't seem like we've got him in there, unfortunately, at the moment for that second one. We'll bring in, actually, we can ask him ourselves. We can speak to, no, not Andrew Fairley, Alex Fretwell. Monsieur Fretwell, welcome to the booth. You must be pretty buzzing with the results tonight, but what on earth happened in that second race?
Yeah, good results in both, which sort of contributed to my reasonable mood. There's a little bit of contact between me and Chris on the first lap, and while I take this fairly seriously, don't want it to be sort of against anyone else's race, so obviously it was a fairly calm race for me, just dealing with the elite guys. Just played it back through my head the whole time, thinking, was it a bit much, was it not? And just, it's easier this way in the end.
I was going to say, I wondered if it was a sportsmanship thing, because Chris wasn't too far behind in the end, but that's really lovely to hear, and fair play to you. You're one of the only drivers in the McLaren this season. Do you feel like that gives you an edge at certain places, or is it one of those where you're sort of looking around wondering if someone else is going to bite the bullet?
Obviously, yeah, it's a new car to me this season as well, so I'm sort of still getting to grips with it. I think on the whole it's been pretty good. It's took a while on a couple of the tracks to get up to speed. Zolder was a bit different because I'd done 2 of the GT Endurance races, so
fair play.
I was well up to speed there. But even the race pace here came reasonably easily, but it was right up sort of to the practice before the session tonight, to get any sort of qualifying pace out of it, which I did in practice and then didn't in qualifying, so you know.
Fair play. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah.
We go to Virginia next time, which I'm sure none of us want to, and it's going to be raining as well, which none of us want. So what are your thoughts going there?
I think the last time I drove that was in a GR86, so
you poor
not
man.
really a lot to to take from that. Yeah, it's obviously going to be a massive unknown, and I think I'm right in saying it's wet as well. So
yes, light rain according to the forecast.
Going to be survival, yeah,
definitely.
Which, to be fair, I'd rather that than mixed, because at Zolder the biggest struggle I had was in the changeover. So when we just put the wets on,
yes,
it was absolutely nowhere. As soon as we got a little bit more rain, it was coming good again. So yeah, I'll probably take it being wet and try and keep on track.
Well, we look forward to seeing it, Alex. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Not particularly, just teammates as always. I'm a little bit lonely these days. They're all in the other split, so
Oh, bless you.
they're keeping me company in chat at least.
Well, good to speak to you as always, Alex. Thanks very much for hopping in. And yeah, we'll hopefully speak to you again very, very soon. Have a good evening.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. You know what, Ed? It's moments like that where we see that sort of sportsmanship that makes you fall back in love with all of this, isn't it? You know, I'll say it how it is. You do often get a lot of people complaining about driving standards and so on in leagues when, you know, they'll have one incident in a race and that's it. They'll slate the whole championship like the driving standards are bad. But you come across somebody like Alex there that will do that and, you know, give up a class win just because he had a bit of contact with somebody when he took the move in the first place nearly half an hour ago and give up his win. That's just epic, isn't it? That's lovely.
That really is, and I don't think that Chris Jennings would have expected or anticipated that, and that's just credit to Alex's character, really, isn't it? That he was willing to give it up, especially after some of the disappointment he had earlier on in the season at Zolder and earlier on as well, that he just wasn't able to get the results, that when he had a chance to get that race victory that was taken away from him, that he just lost out because of the rain, he decided to selflessly give it up and give it to Chris.
It's fantastic to hear it. I'm sure it'll be fantastic to hear Francois Brandet back in the commentary box again. Francois, hello, mate. Hope you're doing well. How was that for you tonight, getting a class podium? You must be pretty pleased.
Bonjour. Yes. What a great night. Unexpected, but hey, we take it. We take it.
And what do you make of this circuit? Because I know Road America is what we call a Marmite circuit. I don't know the French word for that. But I know that it's one that a lot of people love it or they hate it. I'm on the fence of... I'm never sure. I like watching it. I don't like driving it. But what about you?
I'm more on the love side of things, especially when you're in the front. But I think it's one of the tracks where like anything could go wrong in any minute.
Yeah.
Especially like around the carousel or around the kink, as it happened during the race. So yeah, I'm guessing quite a few strong opinions on the track, but I really like it. It's been a while since I raced there, so obviously a good feeling leaving the track with a P4 and a P3.
Yeah, not a bad night at all. Quite a lot of championship points there, and I even mentioned just to really throw you in it. I mentioned your message before the race, saying you know you're not taking it that seriously, but you know without even the try hard in this season, the level is just awesome, isn't it? Now with the two splits, like putting all of the elite and pro drivers in one race, it's incredible how level the playing field seems to be.
Yeah, it is. We were talking about it with Matt Owen before during practice, and we were saying that it's incredible how like well sorted the drivers are in our split. I don't know how it is in the B split, but legit, you would be on like in the podium on your class, and you'd be like 22nd overall. So no Smurf discussion, no out of the blue fast guys. I think it's really great. It's very close as well, so it's very competitive at the same time. And yeah, I'm loving it so far. Just like I told you before.
Yeah, man.
It's a bit like I just want to fall back in love or with racing this season, and it's doing the job for me at the minute.
Well, it's good to hear that, Francois, because we know that, you know, when you race as often as you can, it is easy to fall out of love with it, but it's great to hear that it's working that way for you. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Quick shout out to my teammates who didn't have the best of race tonight. Just one of these unlucky evenings, I'm guessing, but I have no doubt they'll bounce back. Shout out to you guys for the great coverage, as well. And yeah, good job on Chris and Alex. Was great racing there, and very, very, very good sportsmanship from Alex tonight. Very hats off.
Yeah, it's lovely to see that. And thanks once again for the kind words, Francois. Great to hear from you, mate, and hopefully hear you again very soon.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Cheers.
See you guys.
See you in a bit. Francois Brandet there, runner-up of the Fishfinger Grand Prix over on Euro Truck Simulator 2. We're going to move on and very quickly speak to Daniel Lee, who joins us in the box. I'm sure he's got one or two fantastic analogies for us again this evening. Hello, Danny. Hope you're doing well, mate. Not a bad night from a results standpoint. Great finish for you.
Yeah, that was really good, and it was also nice from a team point of view. Being kind of arm in arm with Dean on both races is a really nice change. Like normally one of us is having a calamity and we sort of get split apart, and then we're sort of playing the race back to each other over the radio and trying to sympathise with each other's plight. Now we were together, both equally sweating because it was really tough stuff out there.
We were saying, Ed and I have obviously commentated on you in different series in different cars before, and we used to see you quite similar and in the same part of the circuit all of the time there. So it was great that you had strength in numbers, so to speak. The Mustang seemed like a hell of a car to be in tonight, though. Not sort of excusing your pace or anything, but there was a lot of Mustangs up near the front of the order, wasn't there?
No, excuse away, because in the last season I took part in, I was in the Merc, and I kind of moaned about it left, right and centre. It's always a way. When there's something wrong, you feel like the car is at fault, so then it turns into a game like, how good can I make the Merc look? You don't need to do that with this. There's a Mustang usually at the very, very top front, and it really is on a level with the rest of them, so there's no excuses anymore, and I enjoy that a lot. And now it's just a case of hitting the marks as consistently as I can. So I am working extremely hard, and so is Dean, to make sure we do that every time.
I was going to say the championship's going well for you at the moment as well. Anyway, points-wise, you're right up there at the sharp end. What's it like trying to sort of maintain that with these guys? Because the level's very, very high, isn't it?
It is, and I do feel slightly parasitic, because I'm just a hyena waiting for the scraps from the other guys fighting, and it does happen. That's the great thing about GT3, is that it will inevitably compress the field together, and if you're just a little bit wily and sit back and watch and wait for the right moment, you can pick up a place here or there, and it's the only way that I'm ever going to sort of get to the very, very point of the tip of the spear, and I don't mind that. I like it. It means that when I get there, feels all the better for it. There are some extremely fast people here, and that's what we need. We need more extremely fast people to kind of cause jostling through narrow doorways, all that kind of stuff, to then make it easier for us to pick up the pieces.
Well, it's been fantastic to watch so far this season, Danny, and you are absolutely making that Mustang look very, very good indeed. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Just a thanks to the admin. They work very, very hard, and they give us a great place to race every week. To you guys for the broadcast, we all know how hard that is, so you make it look very, very easy. And cheers to all the other racers on the grid for being consistently tough and worth showing up for. So thank you to everybody.
Lovely stuff, Danny. Great to speak to you as always, mate. Enjoy the rest of your night. Well done on the results, and we'll see you in Virginia.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. So wise. Always got good words for Danny, but I nearly put him in the other commentary box then with Joe and Dara. That would have surprised him. Still, great night of racing, Ed, and lovely to see the Mustang and the ADX Racing guys going so well. Brilliant sportsmanship over in the pro class as well. Can't fault it. Brilliant night of racing.
It was wonderful. Really, up and down the grid, there was action everywhere we looked, wasn't there? From minute 1 of the first race till minute 30 of the second, there was always something going on. And again, just that great sportsmanship to cap off the evening between Alex Fretwell and Chris Jennings. It's almost the perfect race evening, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll have another one in a week's time. In a week, we'll be going to Virginia International Raceway. In the rain, and it should be an absolute belter of a night though, because let's not forget, that is, while it's not everybody's favourite circuit, it's another one that really does provide some excellent racing. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors. Thank you to Kame, thank you to GP2 Group, and thanks to Keenan Eco Energy. Thanks to Evolution Sim Racing themselves, and thanks to you, Ed, and all the drivers that have made it what it is tonight. This has been the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship on Chaz Draycott Media. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you in a week's time. Have a good one.
And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They're not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps of Spa
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Cranston and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail, isn't it? Hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.